I wanted to get your reaction to directly after September 30th, directly after the referendums, the results came in. There was a celebration in Russia over the results, and Vladimir Putin gave what I think a historic speech in response. I want to get your reaction. What was your reaction to that speech? Its significance moving forward? I mean, there was a lot of history there. There was a lot of just very firm statements and assertions of sovereignty, and a lot of what you've already spoken about. But I would like to get your reaction on Vladimir Putin's what I think was a historic speech directly after the referendum results.
Yeah, and I might be wrong with the year here. I'm thinking 1946, but I could be wrong. Winston Churchill gave a speech in Fulton, Missouri, that has gone down in history as the Iron Curtain speech. And basically, that speech defined East-West relationships for decades. It was that level of a speech. That the history that he brought into that, the power of his rhetoric, and the implications of what he said, and how that speech actually served as a foundation for what happened after that. This speech given by Putin will go down in history as important or more important than the Iron Curtain speech. Vladimir Putin has redefined relations between the West and Russia. He has set down a version of history that, while people may challenge it, nitpick it here and there, it doesn't matter. It's a version of history that has been encapsulated, and life has been breathed into it by the importance of the moment. And it's this version of history that's going to dominate Russian relations with the world going forward. Whether you agree with it or not, it's the version that is going to serve as the starting point. It was very firm in defining what Russia is, who Russians are, what they're not going to be, and what they're going to do. It is literally one of the defining moments of modern history. I think this speech, 100 years from now, will be viewed as probably the most important speech of this century. It's definitely the most important speech made by anybody so far this century, and I don't think there's going to be other moments like this, because this is earth-shattering. This is groundbreaking. This is game-changing. Whatever euphemism you want to use, you can add it to this speech, and it is. We in the West appear to be a little ignorant of this. We aren't paying as much attention to this speech as we should, but we will. Europe's going to. I think Europe's going to be paying a lot of attention to it this winter as they freeze to death, as their economy collapses, as their societies get shredded, not by anything Russia did, but everything they did. They're going to understand the context of which Putin has spoke. And I think the United States will wake up as we become more and more isolated in the world. We reflect on not only the strength of what Putin said, but the accuracy of what Putin said regarding America's role in the world today. No, this is first of all, it was a brilliant piece of rhetoric, political rhetoric. Political scientists should be poring over these words, and this was very carefully scripted. Every word had meaning. I had a Russian diplomat tell me once. He said, "Scott, you got to be careful what you say, because words have meaning. Words mean something. And so when you speak and you say words, you can't just throw words out there and then walk away as if they don't matter. They matter. Words matter. And every word spoken by Putin in this speech mattered. And that's why people need to study the speech and not be dismissive of it. There's one Western leader, a former Western leader, who finally gets it. Her name is Angela Merkel. And after the speech, she said, the world would do well to listen to what Putin has said, and respect it and act on it, because he doesn't bluff. So there's no bluffing, there's no posturing, there's no artifice here. This is all genuine reality that is going to define how Russia moves going forward. So if I were the Ukrainians, I would have listened to that speech and just gone into an outright panic, which of course they did, which is why they were looking for instant admission into NATO, because for them, that's the only thing that's going to save them. It's not going to happen. Ukraine is doomed as a nation state. I don't think this conflict ends with Ukraine existing. And again, that's sort of what Putin said. You know, when the Russian president says that all the goals and objectives of the special military operation are in play and they will be accomplished in full, you know, that means denazification. How do you define denazification? Well, Putin just defined it. He called the regime in Kiev a Nazi regime. So denazification means regime change. The Russians have now committed formally to regime change. Demilitarization means eliminating all of the NATO influence. Putin has said that Russia is now at war with the collective West. So the Ukrainian military is, in the eyes of Russia, NATO. It must be eliminated. So I think the speech made clear what's going to happen to Ukraine and what Russia's goals and objectives are. People just need to read it and understand it and not pretend it didn't happen.